Hey folks, welcome back to Dub Africa. This is Chris once again, and this is a little summary and analysis of something that occurred Saturday night when former Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard, you remember her, the candidate for the Democratic nomination of president, who utterly destroyed Kamala Harris at their debate, just eviscerated her. It was like Zorro. Her entrails just fell on the table, exposing Kamala Harris for the fraud that she is. Nonetheless, she's the vice president today. Go figure, politics. No reason or logic involved there. But Tulsi Gabbard, the former Hawaii representative, former representative of Hawaii, was on Jessie Waters' program on Fox Saturday night, which I didn't see, so I'm just reporting this from news reports. This is from Elizabeth Stauffer from the Western Journal, who gave a report a short while ago talking about Gabbard's appearance on Fox's Waters World Saturday night, talking about the things I've been telling you for ages. It's nice to have a platform, folks. It's nice to be a national figure where people are listening to you. I have been saying exactly this since the 6th of January, repeatedly on my live streams, and I felt it was time to do a prepared video now that a national figure is saying exactly the same things I've been saying. What happened on the 6th of January was intentional underrepresentation of law enforcement, no presence there, no reserve forces, no backup, no contingency plans, all intentional to encourage lawlessness on the part of the Capitol, on the part of those who showed up. And this was done by the Capitol Police, the Sergeant of Arms, and the person responsible for Capitol Hill security, Representative Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who failed in her job and ought to resign forthwith for her failures for what happened on the 6th of January when 36 people broke into the Capitol building. It was undefended, criminal trespassers. But Tulsi Gabbard is also now speaking truth to the word. And here, let's talk about this. She said that the over-the-top presence of 25,000 guard troops in D.C. Sends a message to America and to the world. And I've been telling you that. This is not the message we want to send the world, giving people the impression that the U.S. Capitol is actually in danger. Congressmen were actually in danger when there were hundreds of law enforcement officials inside the building armed. And as we saw, none were ever in any jeopardy. And if they claim they were, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they're simply being hyperbolic and telling you nonsense. They were safe. She said that, also Homeland Security, former Homeland Security Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli pointed out that the 25,000 troops was the equivalent division. Actually, it's larger than division. A U.S. heavy division is about 18,000 soldiers. So this is a heavy division plus a separate brigade that was deployed to Washington, D.C. And nothing says martial law more than the deployment of a division of troops to our nation's capital. Well, I would agree with that. Now, Tulsi Gabbard, not Tulsi Gabbard, but Elizabeth Stauffer saying this is unmistakably a calculated political decision intended to accomplish a political goal, which is what I've been saying all along, folks, is exactly what it was. Exactly what it was, as is the fraudulent, unconstitutional impeachment of a private citizen. The Senate has no authority over Donald Trump. He is not a serving member of the U.S. government. Therefore, they cannot impeach him. It's unconstitutional to even broach this topic. Of course, we saw a fraudulent impeachment effort in the House of Representatives when the House of Representatives, without any evidence presented, without any testimony, without anything whatsoever, simply held a vote and voted on a purely partisan political basis to, yes, I know 10 Republicans voted with these guys because they're cowards, but 10 Republicans voted with them, but purely political effort, no legal basis for it whatsoever, and utter lies. Trump did not incite a riot. You people are clowns and buffoons to actually make that claim. And anyone who believes that is delusional. That's the fact. But this is what Tulsi Gabbard told Waters on his program Saturday night. The militarization of our nation's capital was not only unnecessary, but to send that message to both the American people and the world that somehow our nation's capital is under attack, which it wasn't, and threat of a siege taking over. I just don't think that's the message we want to send to the American people of the world. Of course it's not. It undermines our foreign policy, our reputation, and it's utter bullshit. It's utter lies. Where was the intelligence to support this? There was none. The fake, leaked disclosure of so-called classified information by the Federal Bureau of Intelligence Federal Bureau of Investigation to Fox News, telling the world that they had information that the 50 state capitals and the national capital were under threat of armed protest sometime before the inauguration, sometimes before the inauguration, the day of, or sometime after it, and not saying when. Of course, it was nonsense. Gabbard added that I read something as well that I think everyone would find disturbing, in that not only 25,000 deployed inauguration day, but militarizing our nation's capital. But even as about half of that number are heading home, the officials in Washington are saying they plan to keep an enduring presence of thousands of troops in our nation's capital. In fact, they've announced that through the end of March, there will be at least 5,000 to 7,000 National Guard troops in D.C. Why? to suppress the population. That's why. That's what I've been telling you. Tulsi, you need to go a little bit further. She said, I haven't seen the justification of that, but again, it just reinforces my concern about what is the message they're sending to the American people. What is it they're trying to accomplish now by creating enduring presence? That sounds a lot like a lot of the stuff that we've seen happen overseas. Indeed, it has. Now, the former Congresswoman, of course, is an Army reservist who served 2 tours in Southwest Asia. And she also complained about the despicable condition that guardsmen on break were forced to endure, exposed to COVID in tight quarters with no electricity, no heating, conditions worse than the Geneva Convention allows for the care of prisoners of war. Yeah, she talked about her concerns about despicable conditions. She's right. I've also done a video on that. And she condemned the politicians for what was really just a photo op and their instant forgetfulness about the troops. I've said the same thing. This is nothing more than a pretext to steal the right of Americans to assemble and seek redress from their government, and also to avoid the embarrassment of nobody showing up for Joe Biden's inauguration. No one was going to go. Nobody voted for this clown. Just look at the stats online. His inauguration video had hundreds of thousands of dislikes before the algorithm got monkey with, and it still has 29,000 dislikes and 4,000 likes. Come on. That doesn't happen for presidents who get 80 million votes. Who are you kidding? Yes. She also shared that the troops were discarded as if they didn't matter. And that's what I talk about in my videos. Now, she shared a clip saying this of a tweet that she had to Biden. She said, your leadership is needed now to denounce those like former CIA Director John Brennan and Representative Adam Schiff who are advocating for targeting half the country as potential domestic terrorists. Indeed. If Unity Joe is actually a president of unification, then he would have said something to this ilk, but he hasn't. Why? Because he's not Unity Joe. Truly unite the American people around our Constitution and the rights that are endowed to us by our Creator is what she said. Absolutely. Now, bear in mind that what happened on the 6th of January was an American population gathered under its constitutionally guaranteed rights, or inalienable rights granted under God, to assemble before our government and seek redress. Lawfully, 5 permits were issued for those assemblies, and people gathered peacefully. Over 500,000 Americans gathered there, and I have video footage of it to prove that this is what happened. Now, 36 unarmed criminal trespassers broke in the building, and now that's being fraudulently framed to suppress our liberties, to lie about America, destroy our reputation, all for their naked, vain power grab. These are the tweets that Tulsi Gabbard sent to Twitter, which are for Joe Biden. The mob who stormed the Capitol to try to stop Congress from carrying out its constitutional responsibilities were behaving like domestic enemies of the country. But let us be clear, the John Brennans, Adam Schiffs, and the oligarchs and the big tech who are trying to undermine our constitutionally protected rights and turn our country into a police state with KGB-style surveillance are also domestic enemies and much more powerful and therefore dangerous than the mob which stormed the Capitol. President Biden, I call upon you and all of Congress from both parties to denounce the efforts by Brennan and others to take away our civil liberties endowed to us by our Creator and guaranteed in our Constitution. If you don't stand up to them now, then our country will be in great peril. I agree with you 100%, Tulsi Gabbard. I've not been a fan of Tulsi Gabbard. Some of her ideas politically I find utter rubbish. I do give her credit for chutzpah, standing up to expose the fraud that Kamala Harris is during the Democratic season. But of course, they went to every effort to keep her off the stage after that. And she's now speaking up. She's a former representative from Hawaii and a member of the Democratic Party. But it sounds to me like perhaps with her language here, she might be a good candidate to join those of us forming a third party here in the United States to take on these 2 deep state permanent political class parties, the Democrats and Republicans, who are undermining our national security, shipping our jobs overseas, and imprisoning us in our homes by violating the Constitution. Well said, Tulsi Gabbard. I'm behind you, but I envy your pulpit and your stage that you have. I'm fortunate if I get a few thousand, a few tens of thousands to watch my videos at the moment. Hopefully that will grow. But I have been saying exactly what you're saying and much more and correct about it since the 6th of January. And even before that, I predicted it. Anyway, folks, if you're not a subscriber, become one. Smash the subscription button and be sure to toggle the icon to let you know about updates. And I ask that you give a like, or if you find this on Rumble, give me a rumble. I'd appreciate that. Thanks a lot, folks. Spread the word. True patriots, those who believe in the Constitution, come in all shapes and colors and sizes. And we support and defend the Constitution against these dangerous, dangerous leftists who seek to destroy liberty and freedom for their bizarre worldview. Take care.